listen to Spikes, 'cause all my rowdy friends drop in on Monday night time.
Welcome to Second City Sports Chat, and this is our NFL edition 2013. We are here. I am their host, Rod Edmond, alongside Pete Argus and Dan Frigo. We're going to go through all the divisions in the NFL and tell you our teams, rank them from the top, who's going to win the division, to the bottom, and we will get to our Super Bowl picks as well. We will start off in the AFC East. We'll go through each team, tell you who they added and who they dropped. We'll start with the Patriots. They added Amendola, Tim Tebow, and Adrian Wilson. Key losses for them, Wes Welker, convict Aaron Hernandez, Danny Woodhead, and Brandon Lloyd. Bills, they added rookie E.J. Manuel, Robert Wood, and Kevin Cobb. They lost Ryan Fitzpatrick and Nick Barnett. Dolphins made a lot of noise this offseason. They ended up adding Mike Wallace, Dustin Keller, and drafting Deion Jordan, some of their big moves. But they did lose a couple of key guys, Jake Long, Reggie Bush, and Carlos Dansby. And then the laughable New York Jets. They added Geno Smith through the draft, Chris Ivory they picked up, Kellen Winslow, and DeMarcus Milliner. Their key losses were Tebow, Sean Green, Dustin Keller, and the Island, Darrelle Revis. PM, we'll start with you. Give us their division bottom to the top.
All right. Well, I obviously have New England winning this division. The rest of the teams are very, very far below New England. I think the Jets have a chance to go 0-16 this year. Of all the teams in the NFL, they have the most chance. So I got them in last. I think with Miami making the moves, maybe they get second, maybe with 6 wins this year. And then Buffalo with the new quarterback and E.J. Manuel, I don't know how that's going to play out, so I would probably slot them in third place.
Okay. We'll go to me here. I agree. Patriots take this division really, I think, rather easily. There's been some analysts who are really trying to make a push for the Miami Dolphins and all these moves, but Ryan Tannehill, second season, not feeling it too much. But I will take Patriots first. I will go with the Dolphins, the new-look Dolphins. New unis. They're fresh. Come on. I think they're going to take second. Patriots, I think, will end up with about 11 wins, I'd probably say. Dolphins with about 7-9. Bills, I think, will take third. I think they'll go with 5 wins. And the 0-16 New York Jets will finish that out last. Dan, let's go to you.
Well, I also agree with you guys, too. I wanted to go with the Patriots. Feel like, they made some good picks. And I feel like they'll, do decent, but obviously better than the rest of the division. They're, obviously way better than the Dolphins, the Bills, and especially now the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
And between second and third, I'm gonna go a little different here. I'm gonna go Bills.
Okay.
Change up a little bit. And then I'm gonna say Miami for third, and then obviously Jets is last.
All right. While we're on this division, I want to kind of ask you. There was a couple of shakeups within the division. Obviously, one of the bigger losses I would say is probably Wes Welker, if you agree with that, through the division. But if you look at the division as a whole, Pete, who do you think is probably the biggest? Who will make the biggest impact on their team? The new guy on the team.
Of all the players, I would say Amendola. I think he's getting a little. I think he's a little underrated. I think he can do a lot what Welker does, because Welker was very consistent, obviously with New England with Brady. But I feel like the Patriots made the right move, because I feel like he was a little dropping off in his production lately. Injuries are starting to catch up to him, so I think he can be a big addition for them, because who else is going to get the balls in New England? So I feel like he's going to have the greatest impact.
Yeah, they lost a lot of big receivers, so this is going to be a weird year for Tom, but Tom does this all the time, so We'll see what happens. AFC North we will move to. We'll start with the Cincinnati Bengals. The key addition were James Harrison, and through the draft we got Tyler Eifert.
Yep.
And Giovanni Bernard. And they didn't lose any major players. The Browns, Paul Kruger and Dion Lewis they added. But the key losses for Cleveland, Phil Dawson, longtime kicker for the Browns, and Joshua Cribbs. The Ravens, they added Elvis Dumervil after a chaotic contract issue with Denver, some paperwork missing.
Yeah, that was just really weird.
Really bad. Elam and Arthur Brown. They losses, though. Anquan Bolden, Ed Reed, Kruger, Pollard, and Mr. Raven himself, Ray Lewis. And for the Steelers, they added Jarvis Jones, Gradowski for a backup in case Big Ben, who takes a lot of hits, get hurt, and rookie running back Ravon though. They did lose Rashard Mendenhall, Mike Wallace, and James Harrison. Dan, we're going to start with you. Who do you got winning this division from top to bottom?
I'm gonna go with Cincinnati as my first choice here, and then let's see here. I'm gonna put Cleveland Browns obvious last. They just never get great picks. It's just to me, I seem like they don't get great players. They have a lot of money to really get anybody good, and they don't have any top team names, and I just don't feel like anytime soon they're getting anybody good. They'll never be good for a while, so they'll always be last in my book.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
Sorry, Molly.
Yeah, Molly. And then, Steelers and Ravens. Let's see here. I'm gonna say Ravens. I still feel like they'll do good. Even though they lost some good big players, but the defense might not be as strong as it used to be. But I still feel like their offense will, be good. And then I'm gonna put the Steelers in third place.
All right. Pete.
To Dan's comment about Cleveland, my girlfriend Molly would not be very happy with that comment. But I believe that Cincinnati, I feel like they're going to take the next step, and I think they're going to be able to control this division. I feel like Baltimore had too many losses, not only football players, but guys that were in the locker room, like Ed Reed and Mr. Raven himself, Ray Lewis. But I feel like Pittsburgh's definitely going to take a step back this year. And I feel like Cleveland's got a chance, I think maybe, to get third place, but that's if everything goes right for them. So I think it's Cleveland and Pittsburgh at the bottom. It's going to be like really close, but I feel like Baltimore's clearly the second best team, and I feel like Cincinnati is the best team in that division.
I'm going to agree with Cincy being the best team in that division. They have been just on the fence for a while here. I feel like they've really taken the right steps. AJ Green is phenomenal receiver. And Andy Dalton's really becoming one of those top quarterbacks in top 10. James Harrison, I think that adds a little more grit to their defense, something that they were lacking before. I think they take this division. The Ravens, the defending Super Bowl champs, without Lewis and Reed, I think that pushed them really far back. And losing Bolden didn't help either. It really hurt a receiving core that didn't need that, especially with Pitta getting hurt in the offseason. Training camp, it's really rough for them. But I still think they'll hang on and take second. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, though, are going to finish 4-12 this year. I believe they're going to have a huge step back. I believe it's a team that they dominated for many, many years. I think now it's finally a rebuilding phase. If you know some recent moves that they made, getting rid of Wallace and stuff like that, I think it's a rebuilding year. I think they take fourth. I think Cleveland will take third. Pete.
I'm going back to your Pittsburgh comment. I feel like, they have a good quarterback, obviously, in Big Ben. The guys won Super Bowls a couple times. But I just feel like up front, and then them losing Mike Wallace, it's like, and they have no running game. I feel like it's going to be tough for Big Ben, even as good as he is, for them to produce anything. And that's why I feel like Cleveland's got a chance maybe to get third place in this division.
And the defense is getting old.
Yep.
Guys like Palomalu getting hurt a lot, losing James Harrison. He was old too. I like the Ogletree draft pick. I like the Le'Veon Bell pick out of Michigan State. But again, these are rookies. You don't know what they're going to get out of them yet.
Yeah.
And the offensive line is still being rebuilt. Big Ben's going to still take a lot of hits. And without a solid running game, if Bell isn't as top as people are saying he is, it's going to be pretty tough for him.
Yep.
We will move on to the AFC South. We'll start with the Indianapolis Colts. Additions: Matt Hasselbeck, LaRon Landry, and Hayward Bay. Key losses: Donnie Avery and Dwight Freeney. Texans, they added Ed Reed, Shane Leckler, and DeAndre Hopkins. The key losses for them was receiver Kevin Walter. We go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. No major drops or losses. Additions: Luke Jokel, their first pick out of A&M, Texas A&M. And they got new uniforms, so they got to be revitalized a little bit.
Fantastic.
Looking fresh to death. That's a big addition for them. Then we go to the Tennessee Titans. They added Ryan Fitzpatrick, Sean Green, Kevin Walter, Chance Warmack, and Bernard Pollard. Key losses was tight end Jared Cook. Pete, we'll start with you. Give us your division picks, what you got going on here, and any major moves you thought that could shake it up.
I got division winner Houston, I feel like they're the most complete team, and I feel like Schaub will finally take that next step to be a guy that actually can take his team into the playoffs and win some games. I got second place. I got Indy because of the two horrific teams that are below them. I feel like they're not going to have all the things go right like they did last year, but I feel like because Luck is such a great quarterback, I think they'll be able to take second. Third place, I got Tennessee. I feel like Chris Johnson's going to have a big bounce back year, but it's not going to be enough for playoffs for him. And I still don't trust Locker yet, so that's a big question mark for me. And then Jacksonville, it's not really good when the best part of your team is your jerseys because, I mean, they can wear all the nice jerseys in the world, but their team is still horrible. So they're probably going to finish fourth place. I feel so bad for Maurice Jones-Drew, but that's really just how it is.
Yeah, it's rough. Dan, we'll go to you.
Oh man, new uniform is really hard to pick. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick on Titans. Oh my gosh. Who do I pick? Okay, we'll start with this. I'm gonna pick Indianapolis Colts. I mean, their picks were, like a big wow to me, but like Ron Landry was like Landry. Hopefully
he doesn't have any laundry on the field because he's known for some flags.
Yeah, I mean, come from the Redskins and Jets, but that's probably the major pick they got from the Jets. Yeah, Matt Hasselbeck, from team to team now, but he's okay. But second place, I'll go with Houston, and then third place, definitely gotta go with the Titans. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's gonna take him to the freaking Super Bowl.
Oh my.
I'm just doing it for you, Ryan. Don't worry.
All right, here we go.
And then, wow, new uniforms had to go fourth place, and that new logo.
Yeah, they did.
Looking scarier.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna take Houston though. I'll agree with you, Pete. I'm gonna take Houston to win this division. Indy second. I think Houston adding Ed Reed's a big move. Even though he's hurt right now, but when he gets back, I think he's gonna be a big impact player for them. Indianapolis Colts will take second in this division. They're only going to go as far as Luck can take them at this point. They have some good young talent that they can build around, and I think they're going to continue to be strong. Titans, I pick third. I think the Sean Green move is a huge move in that division. It gives them a little bit something to look at besides the speediness of Chris Johnson. A good complementary back for him. I think he started to show a little bit more in the Jets. Does perfect here in Tennessee. If you look at the Jaguars, new uniforms, still suck. You're going to take fourth.
Simple as that.
Exactly. We're going to move out west to the AFC West. We'll start with the new look Kansas City Chiefs. Key additions, Alex Smith, Donnie Avery, Chippewa Eric Fisher, and new head coach Andy Reid.
Andy Reid!
No big drops. Major drops, I should say. Go to Oakland. They added Charles Woodson, Matt Flynn,
Woody,
and Tracy Porter. Key losses, Carson Palmer, Hayward Bay, Richard Seymour, and Leckler. For San Diego, they made some good additions. They added Woodhead, Dwight Freeney, and Mr. Invisible himself, Manti Te'o. They lost Sean Phillips and Quentin Jammer. And then we move on to Denver. They made one of the bigger splashes. They ended up signing Wes Welker, Sean Phillips, and Rogers Cromartie, and first or second round, which round they grabbed Monte Ball.
Monte, I believe, is a second round pick.
Second round pick. Looks to be the starter, though, already. See what he get out of him. Former Heisman candidate. And they lost McGahee, as we mentioned, Doomerville in that horrendous contract situation with his agent, and DJ Williams. Dan, we'll start with you. This division, who you got top to bottom?
Well, my first pick, I'm going to go with Denver. Mainly because Wes Welker, like what Pete said before, he worked out well with the Patriots, and now they have Peyton Manning. I think they'll just click. They'll just dominate the division at least. And then, second we got San Diego, we got Oakland. Let's see here.
In Kansas City.
Yeah, Kansas City. Man. Oh, those teams are so bad. And that's it. I'm going to go with Oakland. I kind of like I'm not going to say it's because, it's because Woodson's on the team now in Green Bay.
Yeah!
But,
That's my guy!
I just think that they're just, San Diego is just so bad too.
Yeah.
Then I'll go third. I'm gonna go San Diego. And then
Kansas City, you're gonna
Kansas
pick.
City. I'll go Kansas City.
All right. I'm gonna look at it in a little. I'm gonna go with Denver. I'm gonna go Denver take it. Kansas City, I think, is the surprise team. I believe they're gonna take second. I think Andy Reid and Alex Smith together, it's gonna be a dynamite team, especially with Jamal Charles coming back. It's gonna be really good, I think. Third place, I would say San Diego. It's really a toss-up between the two teams. But San Diego, I think the only positive out of there is Antonio Gates, I think, is going to have a much better rebound year. So fantasy owners, pay attention to that. And in Oakland, sorry, Charles, but your song is going to be cut because the team's still really bad. Pete.
All right. I got Denver winning this division because the rest of the division really is not that good. I got second place. I feel like Ryan just hit it right in the nose there with Kansas City. I feel like Andy Reid's going to turn them around. But third place, I got the Oakland Raiders because Woodson. No, it's not all Woodson, but I feel like that defense is a lot stronger than San Diego's, and I still don't trust Phillip Rivers. I don't think I ever have, but I just don't trust him. And I feel like the running game of McFadden, they can try to shorten games down. And I feel like they're just going to wait for their defense to start making plays. And then I got San Diego actually last.
Yeah, I mean, I look at that division. Welker, what kind of guy is that? He gets to play for Tom Brady, and now he gets to play for Peyton Manning, two future Hall of Famers.
Yeah, just like, okay.
I believe that Welker's production numbers, like his catches, will go down.
Yes.
I don't believe they're going to be as high. I believe there's too many targets for Peyton
There's
to
too
throw
many
at.
weapons in Denver.
You got Decker, you got Denarius Thomas.
Yep.
You know, it's just too much, but I believe he's still going to be productive. It's a really stacked receiving core if everything pans out right.
Yeah.
And Monte Ball doesn't have to do too much. He's just got to be a decent back. That's it. Because Peyton can take that team and lead them to really good places this season. Well, that's the AFC. Let's move on to the other conference. Move on to the NFC. We will start in the East. We'll do the moves here. We'll start with Dallas. Key additions: Travis Frederick. Losses: Felix Jones, Mike Jenkins, and Dan Connor. The New York Football Giants. Key additions: Cullen Jenkins, Louis Murphy, Ryan Nassib. Losses: Ahmad Bradshaw, Osi Umenyiora, Chris Canty, and Lawrence Tynes. For the Philadelphia Eagles, key additions: Lane Johnson, one of their high draft picks, first round pick. Felix Jones, Matt Barkley, another draft pick. Losses: Asamoah, Cullen Jenkins, and Rogers Cromartie. They also added Chip Kelly and the Oregon Ducks philosophy, so that should be great for him. And for the Redskins, make a big move here, adding Devery Henderson. I think that's a pretty good, quiet move for them. And they lost Cedric Griffin. Pete, we'll start with you for this division. Give us your top to the bottom.
This was the toughest division for me to pick, hands down, because I feel like you can make a case pretty much for 3 of the 4 teams, except for Philly. I really don't like Philly. I think Philly's going to be in last because they're in rebuilding mode. But for some reason, I want to trust Eli. I don't know. It's weird because when Eli has a bad year, he usually has a good year, so he probably should have a good year this year. But I feel like Romo, I just feel like everything's going right for Dallas. I like the move back to a 4-3. I think Marinelli's going to be a great defensive line coach for him. I feel like Ware's going to have a monster year. So I got Dallas winning that division. The Giants taking a close second. And then I feel like RG3, I don't know if the ACL thing, I don't know how well he's going to be able to move. And I don't know if he's going to be as dynamic and play as well as he did his rookie year. So I feel like they're going to take third place.
Well, from the Gatorade commercials, you can tell he's putting a lot of dedication into it.
Oh yeah, definitely. But that's going to be a really competitive division. But I got Dallas winning that there.
All right, Freakster, we'll go to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say. Dallas for me is sometimes hard. Romo, he's always hit or miss, and I'm gonna have to say Giants. Eli always, he always hits to me good years, and the team just plays well. And then second place, and I'm gonna go for Dallas. Second place, then
The Eagles are your Redskins. Which one you got going 3-4?
I'm gonna say Redskins, like he said, you don't know how RG3 is going to come back and play, and I just don't feel like they're going to be as well as everybody thinks they will be. So I'm going to say they're going to be a 4th place. I'm going to put Eagles as 3rd place. I think that they'll try to come back from last year and be a little better, hopefully.
Yeah, when I look at this division, the Giants are getting older. They're losing Ahmad Bradshaw is going to hurt. Some people might not think that, but for a team that didn't always have a solid running game to begin with, it's really not going to be too good. Eli's getting old, so. But I'm going to go. I think this is one of these weird years in the NFL. I think it's finally Romo's time again. I think they're going to win the division finally. I believe the Giants are the 2nd best team in that division right now, so I'm going to have to put them at 2 by default. Now, between the Eagles and the Redskins, listen, Robert Griffin's got another brother from Adidas that had a knee injury issue. We didn't see him all season. Derrick Rose. So I'm going to look at RG3. Is he really ready to come back from this injury yet? He looks okay, but for a guy that runs so fast, he takes a lot of risks. I don't know how he's going to be. Pete?
Back to the Derrick Rose thing. RG3 might be coming back from torn ACL, but he doesn't have a cool slogan like Derrick Rose had, where it's the hashtag the return. So he doesn't have that on his
That's true.
Yeah.
I did see his new commercial about vengeance on the Heat. I thought that was pretty cool.
I mean, that was pretty cool.
That was actually pretty cool. But yeah, I believe that Robert Griffin takes too many runs. If he can become more of a pocket guy and they can keep him healthy, they got a better chance. But I believe they take 4th. I think Michael Vick can have a bounce back year. Losing Jeremy Maclin really hurts, but I think this is the type of offense that a quarterback like Vick will run, and McCoy. I think they're going to be pretty good there, so I believe they take 3rd. We will move to the NFC North. We'll start with the Minnesota Vikings. They added rival receiver Greg Jennings, Matt Castle, and Bishop. Their key losses, though, this one's kind of hit or miss because he's hurt. Percy Harvin and Antoine Winfield. That's a big loss, I believe. We'll go to the Packers. Key additions. Draftee Eddie Lacy, Dante Jones, and Jonathan Franklin are key additions. Key losses: Poor Pete, Charles Woodson, Greg Jones, and Donald Driver. We'll go to Detroit. Key additions: Israel Banage, David Akers, and Reggie Bush. Key losses for them: Titus Young, a lot of problems, and Cliff Averill and Vanden Bosch. Pete, we'll start with you here. The division, the NFC North. Who you got top to bottom?
Right. Well, for the NFC North, I got my team. Packers win that division. I'm a little skeptical though because I feel like the defense. I still don't trust them, but I feel like another year with these young guys. I feel like we can improve this defense. I mean. From a strategical standpoint, I'm not really shocked that they got rid of Woodson. He looked really slow in the playoffs. And they have a lot of young guys that they kind of believe in the secondary. So they wanted to give them a shot. But I feel like this is going to be a very competitive division because Detroit taking last year, that's a team 2 years ago that made the playoffs. So they have an explosive offense. The Bears have a lot of question marks because you don't know how the defense is going to run with Urlacher gone. And with the new coach, Tressman, in there, what his offense is going to look like. Is Jay going to be able to be protected? And then the other big question mark is Christian Ponder in Minnesota. How well is he going to do, and how well is AP going to bounce back? And is Greg Jennings going to actually back up his comments and have a good year this year? He's taking some shots at potentially the best quarterback in the NFL, so let's see what he does actually on the field. But saying all that, I got the Packers winning that division. I think it's a really close second between Minnesota and the Bears. But I got the Bears taking second because I believe AP can't carry this team as much as he did last year. So I got them taking third, but I think it's going to be a really competitive division. And Detroit's going to be last, but they're not going to be as bad as they were last year.
I'm going to agree with you with Green Bay. Even though, they took a lot of key losses, it's just, like you said, let's see how they do with the young players. they still got, explosive offense. Aaron Rodgers is just an animal out there. He just throws the ball, someone will catch it. And, like you said, the defense, they'll fix that. They're fast. They'll be good. And then, I'll take, like Bears, Vikings. I'm gonna go with Bears. I feel like the Vikings, like you said, AP won't be able to carry team like he did last year. Christian Ponder isn't a star athlete. You can't depend on him just to make plays. And I think just the Bears, Jay Cutler, I think that, they'll be a little better. To me, he's more reliable. Even though he throws a lot of interceptions, I still feel like they'll do better. And they have Matt Forte. They have good receivers. Brandon Marshall, they got last year. He does. Jay Cutler, he was on Denver with him. So they know how to click. And Vikings, I'll say they take third. And then Lions, like you said, 2 years ago made the playoffs, but these last few years they just have done so bad, and I just feel like they don't have any good players besides Calvin Johnson, some defensive linemen. But other than that, to me they just don't have any special people that help them make them get into the playoffs.
I look at this. You look at this division. I don't believe the Vikings are going to be as good as people are anticipating because of what they did last year. I don't think the Vikings were that great. I think Adrian Pearson was that great, and that defense overachieved. Losing Winfield's going to hurt. I look at this division. I believe it is really between Chicago and Green Bay. One injury could really just flip-flop that entire balance right there. I'm going to go to the top. I'm going to say Chicago takes this division with Mark Trestman. It's a new coach. It's a new system. It's not a defensive-based system anymore. It's really oriented towards how the quarterback does. The weird West Coast system that he runs. Jay Cutler this year has to perform outstanding. This is his contract year. A lot of things can go on, but I believe Jay Cutler has to play great, and I believe that he will. Losing Urlacher and Nick Roach is going to hurt that defense, but if Tillman and Briggs and some of these new guys can pick it up a little bit, I think they're going to play better. They did address a lot of key issues, adding a couple linemen by drafting Kyle Long and bringing in Bushrod of New Orleans. That's an excellent pickup, something that they really need to do. Fulmer did a good job there. Martellus Bennett, that's a quiet pickup as a tight end. They needed somebody that can catch the ball. They haven't had one since Greg, so I think that was a good pick. Second, real close between the Bears and the Packers again, but Green Bay takes second. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. There's no doubt about it. That offense has all the potential to fly. If Eddie Lacy has a big year, I say 14 plus, they could have a season that they could maybe take that division from the Bears. Really depends on what he does to take pressure off Aaron. Third, I believe it's Detroit. That Reggie Bush pickup to me says a lot. They needed a running game after what was it?
Jahvid Best.
Yeah, Jahvid Best. The concussion. Unfortunately, he looked like he was going to have a really big season too.
Yep.
And that's something that really could have helped them a lot. Calvin's coming off a big year. He's still going to be a big year. Even though they cover him, you can't stop Megatron. It's just how it is. Matt Stafford, got to get more consistent, stay healthy. But I believe that gets done, and I believe they take third. In Detroit, or you, Pete?
No, keep going with Detroit.
Oh, okay.
Just after.
I think they're just a better team than Minnesota. I think Greg Jennings is great to have, but again, I don't trust Christian Ponder. That's why I look at Detroit taking third, and Minnesota stumbling in the fourth. AP has a big year. He might break the record this year. He was 9 yards short last year. That's heartbreaking. He's still going to have a big season. Greg's going to get his catches. I just don't think Christian Ponder's reliable, and I think that defense does take a step back.
To the point about the division between the Packers and Bears, what do you think that big, go back to like what you said, what do you think that big injury would be that could separate the two teams?
Something like, if you look at the Bears, I think losing a guy like Brandon Marshall could hurt them really bad.
Yeah.
Or Jay. I think it rests between those two. Losing Forte could hurt also, but I think they can set themselves up with this type of loss where they can kind of fix that. Look at the Green Bay side. Obviously, Aaron going down because we watched the preseason game. Green Bay's backup is really, really rough.
Well, you knew it was bad when they just called Vince Young. Because,
I think that was a smart move by them.
It was a good move, but you knew that it was a call for help because...
You could have called Jamarcus. So I mean, it
The
wasn't
call
that
for
bad.
Vince Young was 12 times better.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
Jamarcus
yes,
Russell.
yes.
Let's not even talk about it. That's not what we're talking about. But Graham Harrell had his struggles in this game. Packers obviously don't trust him. That's why they brought in Vince Young. But yeah, I mean, the Packers have already been derailed by injuries in the training camp.
And they've
so,
showed it in the past that they've lost
Yeah.
almost all their team, and that's when they won the Super
Yep,
Bowl.
which is weird.
They're a team that they rally around it. So I think an injury will hurt the Bears far more than it will hurt a team like the Packers.
Yeah.
I think the Packers have a really built system, just like their receivers. I think it's like the Tom Brady New England factor. We put anybody in there, Aaron makes him look good. That's why he's an excellent quarterback. We will move out west to the NFC West. We'll start with the new look Arizona Cardinals. They added quarterback Carson Palmer, Rashard Mendenhall, Carlos Dansby, and they drafted out of LSU the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu. They lost Kevin Cobb, Beanie Wells, and Adrian Wilson. We'll go to the Seattle Seahawks, the surprise team last year. They added Percy Harvin, who is hurt now, as we found out, and Antoine Winfield, and their key losses from Matt Flynn. San Francisco added Anquan Bolden, Amsamoah, Eric Reed, and Phil Dawson. Key losses for them: returner Ted Ginn Jr., playmaker Randy Moss, and Al Smith. Go to St. Louis, looking to get something going. They drafted explosive wideout Tavon Austin. They grabbed Jared Cook and Jake Long. Key losses for them: Steven Jackson and Amendola. Pete, looking at the NFC West, who you got top, bottom?
I got San Francisco with that division. They're the most complete team in the NFL, I believe. I feel like Kaepernick, it's going to be a big year for him because there's going to be a lot of pressure on him because people know who he is now this year, and I can guarantee you that a lot of teams have been scouting him and preparing for him this year, but I feel like they have such a solid defense and they have such a great offensive line. As long as he doesn't really just mess up badly, especially with the Percy Harvin injury, because Seattle, that would have given them another explosive weapon on offense, which would have been making this pick even harder for this division. But with that loss of Harvin, I like Frisco winning it. I got Seattle in second because of, well, just Russell Wilson. I feel like he's not going to play as well as he did this year. I mean, last year. But this year, I feel like in that division, they are the second best team because Pete Carroll's got an explosive pass rush, and with Skittles as their running back, I feel like they're the second best team. And you got between third place, you got St. Louis and Arizona. I like the pick of Carson Palmer for Arizona. I just don't really trust the defense at all. So I'm going to have to pick St. Louis in third place. I like the Tavon Austin pickup. I feel like Sam Bradford, this is like a make or break year for him because he's got some weapons now. Let's see what he can do with them. But he did lose his big security blanket in Steven Jackson last year, so that's going to be a big loss. But I like Arizona to be in fourth, St. Louis third, San Francisco to win that division, and Seattle in second.
Dan, we'll go to you.
Okay. I think San Francisco and Seattle, that's a big one to deal with here. I feel like Seattle, though, will take division lead. I feel like just Russ Wilson will come back and have another great year and take Seattle, to the playoffs again, hopefully farther to the Super Bowl. I feel like, especially when they're down, he takes them out and he can just, come back, like last year against Falcons, down like 24 points in the fourth quarter, come back. I mean, I does all the time. I feel like, he can do that again. He just gets a team going. And San Francisco obviously coming in second place. Kaepernick, obviously coming back, replacing Alex Smith, taking him to the Super Bowl. That's amazing. And I just feel like, they'll take second place. Third place, St. Louis losing Steven Jackson was kind of big. Was one of their big players out there. And Arizona, yeah, like you said, Carson Palmer was a good pick. They got a good receiver like Larry Fitzgerald, who obviously everybody knows. And I'm going to say Arizona will be just a little bit better than St. Louis this year. I feel like St. Louis will take last place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this, and San Francisco is still, I think, the most solid team. Pete was right with that Percy Harvin move. If he wasn't hurt, I think that was what Seattle really needed. And, that's something maybe you look until next year. But that was a really good move. It really could have shook this division even harder than it was last year. But I think San Francisco and Anquan Bolden after Crabtree getting hurt, very smart move. Gives Colin Kaepernick an option because they also lost Randy Moss, who wasn't the Randy Moss that he once was, but still is a threat, and that was something that helped them. Like you said, the defense is outstanding in San Francisco, and their line is really good. So I think Colin Kaepernick, do I trust him 100%? No, because like you said, teams scout him. You could figure that out. They've done it to Vic, they've done it to others. But I think in this division, I think they're the best team. They take first. Seattle, yes, even though Harvin getting hurt, they still have pretty much the same team they had last year. And stuff, adding Winfield to that young corner staff, adding a veteran like that, I think is huge for them. And a veteran that's proven that he can get it done. So I believe Russell Wilson doesn't have as big of a year as he did last year. Again, scouted as well with a year under his belt. But I think that team takes second. The third, fourth is really a flip-flop. What you think happens. The Carson Palmer move is huge for Arizona. They finally have a legit quarterback to throw to Larry Fitzgerald. They haven't had one since Kurt Warner. So now you really get to see Larry emerge again after having kind of a down year. But St. Louis really I think St. Louis added just more playmakers to help Bradford with Tavon and Jared Cook. Huge moves for them. Steven Jackson does hurt. I don't know who their starting running back is now.
It's not really.
Yeah.
I think it's like running back by committee. They get there in St. Louis.
Yeah. So that's rough for a young quarterback like Bradford. Yep. Who's already been having a rough couple of years. But Jake Long gives him a nice little protection, so I like that. But I think St. Louis takes third here just because of the explosiveness that they've added, and Arizona will take fourth. Pete.
And then just back to the San Francisco thing. I just think it's ridiculous how they play a 3-4, and it's just ridiculous how they might have the two best middle linebackers in the whole entire league.
Mm-hmm.
In Navarro Bauman and Patrick Willis. And then with their line, it's just unbelievable. Like the way they drafted, and with Harbaugh, they're just.
And they added Asamoah.
Yeah,
to that DB.
And to the Asamoah comment, I was watching the preseason game, and it's ridiculous because they're talking about how he has to try to fight to make this team. That's a guy 2 or 3 years ago that was regarded as the top corner.
Right. I mean, he knew Philadelphia paid him all that money because that was the top guy.
Yep.
And I think he just, he got roughed up with Philadelphia and things that happened, so now people don't look at him. I think this is a perfect time and perfect place for him to shine and show that he is the real deal.
And it's just ridiculous that, he has to fight to make that team. That's how talented that team is.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
A lot of teams could use Asamoah right now.
Yeah, as their number one corner.
Right. We'll wrap up the NFC going down south. We'll start with New Orleans. Drafting Texas safety Kenny Vaccaro. They lost Chris Ivory and Bushrod, and I think losing Devery Henderson, that's a big loss for them. Atlanta, adding on the defense side, they added O.C. Umenyiora from the Giants, and they did after releasing Michael Turner, who has got no burn to his Turner no more. They added Steven Jackson, the younger version of Michael Turner, but they lost John Abraham on the defensive side. Carolina didn't have any major changes really at all, losses or additions. So you're going to probably see the same old Carolina Panthers you did last year. And Tampa Bay Buccaneers, my Bucks, they added Peyton Hillis, which I think will be a nice compliment to Doug. Nate Kading, Kevin Ogletree, and the Island, Darrelle Revis. They lost LeGarrette Blount and future Hall of Famer Rondé Barber, though. Dan, take you here. Do your division here, top to bottom NFC South.
Okay, my first pick, I'm going to go with Atlanta. Last year, they were one team, going, basically perfect season. And then obviously losing to the playoffs, which was, I was like, wow.
Yeah, it fell apart.
Yeah, fell apart. And then, so I feel like they'll come back and they'll play just as good as they did last year, and I think they'll take the division in the top. And then, the second team, I feel like New Orleans, after last year not being actually a pretty awful team, I feel like this year, pick up some good people, they'll be good, they'll
rebound.
Yeah, the rebound, trying to find the word here.
Yeah, I gotcha.
The rebound, they'll do good, have a better season, make it to the playoffs. I'm not seeing them, make it to the Super Bowl or do anything, anything soon, but I feel like in the next year or two they'll start bouncing back. And then Carolina, they didn't really do much. Like I said, they didn't really gain anybody. They didn't really lose anybody. So I feel like they're not going to do much. And Tampa, yeah, they had some stuff too. But I'm going to say Carolina's going to take third. I think they're still better than Tampa Bay, and I think Tampa Bay will take fourth place.
Pete?
In that division, very competitive division. I would have to take Atlanta first. I feel like Matt Ryan's going to take another step this year. I really trust Matt Ryan. I feel like with the one playoff win, he got the monkey off his back last year. Tough loss against San Francisco in the NFC Championship, but I feel like the losses that they had over the offseason, they definitely gained with the additions they had. Because I feel like OC is a definite upgrade over John Abraham, and I feel like Steven Jackson is a definite upgrade over Michael Turner.
They really just took younger versions of those players and put them in.
Yeah,
right.
Which is absolutely a great job by them.
Yeah.
Second place, I got New Orleans. I feel like Sean Payton is going to be a great piece for them coming back, and that's what they were missing last year. They still have a disastrous defense. Like, they set some kind of record last year. I don't know if it was like most yards or most points they gave up last year, but I feel like with Sean Payton as their coach, they're going to be able to get turnovers. They're still going to go tons of yards and points, but I feel like Breeze is going to have that offense flowing, so I feel like that's going to be their second place team. And then third place, it's between Tampa and Carolina for me, and I feel like it's going to be Tampa because I like what they've done. I like the Rivas signing. Vincent Jackson played really well for them last year, but what separates them in New Orleans is the quarterback play. I still don't trust Josh Freeman. If they would have had a little bit of a better quarterback there, I could make a case for them in second place, but I would have to slot them in the third place. And then fourth place is going to be Carolina. I like Cam Newton. I feel like he's going to mature this year. And people forget that, I mean, he has the record for most yards for his first 2 years. I mean, he beat Peyton Manning, all these Dan Marino, like Hall of Fame quarterbacks. So, I mean, it's not like his fault. It's just he doesn't really have much around him besides Steve Smith. But I feel like it's going to be between those two, but I feel like Carolina's going to take fourth place.
Yeah, like so Carolina. Cam Newton, it's not Cam Newton's fault. It's not entirely. I mean, you got to put somebody on the quarterback, but he's still an electric quarterback. He still has a great arm, great mobility out of the pocket. And then that makes him a huge threat. But like you said, there's no key star power around him or playmakers that are going to complement him, and that's the problem. And when your defensive side of the ball, I mean, Beeson being hurt last year hurt them.
Yes.
I think getting him back will be helpful for them. But still, again, you don't have anybody around him to help him, and I think that's their problem. That's why they'll take fourth. At third, I'm going to take my Tampa Bay Bucks because, yes, the Darrelle Revis signing, smart. You didn't give up too much out of it. I think they only gave up a couple third, fourth round picks or something like that.
Yeah, it was just a couple.
And some money. Mm-hmm. So not bad at all. And the Jets paid most of his contract, so that's huge before Tampa re-signed him. Outstanding move for them, especially to replace a guy like Rondé Barber. Peyton Hillis, like I said, I think that's a good move because if he plays better than when he was on the cover of Madden, which was already a shock, if he plays better than that and doesn't, wuss out the whole season with a flu, that'd be a good compliment to the Duggernaut. Nate Kading, a big move for them to sign him because of their kicker being hurt now, out for the year. Good, Connor Barth. Good move to bring in a guy who was hurt last year, so I think he'll rebound this year, have a good season, which he has in the past. Kevin Ogletree, like you said, Vincent Jackson had a huge year last year. That's what made Josh Freeman's stats so great. When you have a guy like Vincent Jackson, it makes the receivers around him look a lot better. Mike Williams, I think, in his third season, really is going to show that he is as good as he was his rookie year, bounce back year. And I think Ogletree helps him because that's a good compliment guy to put in the slot and help out taking some pressure away from Vincent Jackson. So I think they would take third. The first two, you can't doubt Matty Ice. Matty Ice has been one of the most consistent quarterbacks since he's been drafted. Outstanding, and his stats show it. But there's a guy in that division who's a better quarterback than Matty Ice. That's Drew Brees. Drew Brees is going to play with a chip on his shoulder this entire. I think that entire New Orleans Saints team plays with a chip on their shoulder all year. They, after last year losing Sean Payton and everything, and then that whole scandal situation fell apart for Goodell in the NFL. But it still hurt the Saints, I think. And you saw it the second half of the season, they really started to really push without Sean, and they started making some good strides. And they really, I think they finished 7-9. Made a good push. This year, I think New Orleans takes this division, sticks it to the Goodell, and Drew Brees has a big year. Sean Payton, me and Dan got a buddy, we know, out of Canada, his name's Bakari. He told me that a coach doesn't make the team, and if that's the case, they shouldn't call themselves NFL players, they call themselves CFL players. A coach makes everything in the NFL, and Sean Payton is one of the best at it. New Orleans has a huge year. They win this division. Atlanta, though, Matty Ice, they're going to be good, strong second place. Pete?
With your New Orleans pick, I mean, this isn't up for argument, but I feel like Brees is going to have a great year and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know where they're going to get it from their defense.
That's big missing point for them is that their defense is weak, and it's true it is. I think Atlanta has the better defense. I just believe that just like even when they won the Super Bowl, the defense wasn't that outstanding. It was
they
good
took
though.
The ball.
Right.
I
think they're going to struggle with that. Kenny, hopefully he comes in as a rookie and makes a big impact for them. I believe the defense. I think they're still going to be like the 20th, 21st best defense. It's not going to be great. There's no doubt. It's not going to be that good. But I think the offense has a chance to be one of the top 4 or 5 offenses, and I think that's going to lead them. And Atlanta chokes, and that's the problem, I think. If Atlanta chokes again, that's why New Orleans is going to be able to take this division.
Yeah, New Orleans are also have a softer schedule this year than Atlanta, because Atlanta won the division last year. They're going to play all the division winners, so it's going to be a lot harder for them.
Right. Well, let me recap for you. We'll start in the AFC. Everybody's division picks. In the East, Dan picked the Patriots. Pete picked Patriots, and I picked Patriots. We all got New England to win that division. AFC North, Dan's going with the defending champ Baltimore Ravens. Me and Pete going with Cincinnati Bengals.
The Bungles.
Bengals. We got Dan in the AFC South taking the Indianapolis Colts. Luck is on his side, he believes. While me and Pete taking the Houston Texans with J.J. Watt. And we all agree in the AFC West to take Peyton Manning and his Broncos. As we broke it down here, we'll go to the NFC, starting the NFC East. Dan taking the New York Football Giants. Me and Pete rolling with the boys, Cowboys of Dallas. And now in the NFC North, Dan's got somebody on his side again. Pete and him take the Green Bay Packers, wins division. I will go with the monster of the Midway, the Bears. NFC South, Dan and Pete taking the Dirty Birds of Atlanta. I will take the New Orleans Saints. And we go out west. Dan taking the 12th man in the Seattle Seahawks. We will roll with Jim Harbaugh, or John Harbaugh, sorry. No, Jim Harbaugh, former Bear. My
There's
bad.
too many Harbaughs in the NFL.
Alright, sorry guys. San Francisco 49ers, me and Pete will take. Now we're going to give you Super Bowl picks. Who we think now, give us some credit. It is really early in the season. Things can change, injuries.
I mean, it's just week
some
one.
people might have picked Percy, or the Seattle Seahawks till Percy went down.
Yeah.
So we'll go there. Pete, let's start with you in your Super Bowl matchup.
Well, in my Super Bowl, I got Houston coming out of the AFC, and it was a tough pick for me in the NFC because as a diehard Packer fan, it was hard for me to pick them to lose to San Francisco, but I got San Francisco beating them. So I got San Francisco, Houston in the Super Bowl, and I got the most complete team. San Francisco 49ers win the Super Bowl.
Getting it done this year.
Yeah, I feel like this is the year for San Francisco, and I feel like the loss when they lost David Akers last year. For this year, that's their loss. And then with the gain of Phil Dawson, I feel like that's going to make all the difference.
Mr. Cleveland himself.
I mean, I think Dawson only missed like 2 kicks last year. I mean, he's really consistent. So if he can give them the kicking game that was much needed from last year, I feel like that's going to be able to put him over the top. I got San Francisco beating Houston in the Super Bowl.
You heard from Pete. He's got San Francisco taking down the Houston Texans. be good to see the Texans in the Super Bowl. Young football team still. I
Yeah.
mean, really early, get there. But he's got San Fran getting it done this year. Freakster, let's go to you. What you got?
This Super Bowl. Let's see here. Let's see what's my interesting one here. Well, I actually changed it because mine was a little.
He did have the Bears going as a 6th seed into the playoffs and winning it all against Denver. But after thinking about it, he switched himself a little bit.
Yeah, it's too. Can't be true.
Too much of a dream.
Yeah, one pick spot, I guess. Yeah, well, I got Denver versus Seattle, and I went with Seattle.
He's rolling with the 12th man, my friends.
You know what? You know Denver's gonna be a good team this year. I don't care. Seattle's gonna win it. Russell Wilson, man.
He got Seattle taking down Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos.
Little giraffe.
See, I took a little different approach than both of you. I do not have Denver in there at all. I believe New England, sneaky, sneaky Patriots. I believe they beat Denver in the AFC Championship game at Denver. I think they get in the Super Bowl. And then on the NFC side, I got San Francisco going to the NFC Championship game, but I got Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints taking down the San Francisco 49ers. So I think it's going to be New England versus New Orleans at the Meadowlands in New York. It's going to be cold. Good weather for Tom Brady and all that, but I believe that the Super Bowl champions this year will be Drew Brees and New Orleans Saints. The offense is high flying. It's going to be an awesome offense. I believe it is somewhat of a stretch. I got it. Maybe not as stretch as the Bears won it at all, but it's a stretch. Things happen, like I said. This is one of those seasons where I'm taking into consideration not what just I see right now, what I think could happen in the future in injuries. Pete is shaking his head profusely at me right now, telling me I am dead wrong.
There is no way. I want to even say out here, there is no way the New Orleans Saints are going to the Super Bowl this year. I'm going to say it. I'll say it on air. I ain't scared. I'm going to say it. That team. Okay, I'm getting it. The offense is going to be great, whatever. You know what? Even if they have to play New England in that Super Bowl, Breeze sucks in cold weather. So, I don't know what the temperature's going to be. I don't know. It might be a weird...
I mean, it's August here and we're in our 70s. It's not even hot. This is a weird temperature thing
so
we got
I don't
going
know.
on. It could be 80 for all we know. Probably not, but
I mean,
it could be 50s.
I mean, but you know what? In a couple months from now, we're all going to look at these predictions and be like, we're all idiots.
And that is exactly...
That's exactly
That's
how
exactly
it's
it.
going to go down.
This one took a bit.
This is... Now, see, because I don't always think with my heart. They're not there yet.
See,
But-
that's what I did. I was going to pick the Packers, and I had to scratch that off because I don't trust that offensive line.
Right, like Pete said, we're going to look at these picks probably soon and say, wow, why do we make these picks? It's really early, and like I said, when we get to the NFL, as we go through the season, obviously our picks are going to look different. They might even mesh out. You don't know that yet.
They go for what you saw last year.
Right, you're basing it
Yeah.
off of that, and it's preseason just started.
Yeah.
So, but we did do these picks, and at the end of the regular season, we'll go back and actually adjust the playoffs and look at what we did. That's just how it is. But we'll break it down here. You got Pete taking the San Francisco 49ers to beat Houston in the Meadowlands. The Freakster has got Seattle Seahawks beating Peyton and the Denver Broncos. And I have New Orleans Saints beating the New England Patriots. Even though Pete thinks I'm dead wrong. Got a feeling New Orleans are going to get it done this year. Thank you very much for checking out our NFL podcast. Make sure to keep watching or listening to them on YouTube. You can subscribe to us, which we really appreciate it, at youtube.com/Second City Sports Chat. Keep messaging us, letting us know any comments or concerns, anything you want to talk about, want to be on the show, you want to talk about it. We welcome everybody here. Pay attention, look out for us on YouTube because we will be bringing our fantasy football podcast very shortly, giving you our top in each position. We'll be basing off of a PPR standing, and we will give you some sleepers and some bust as well. Also, after we get through these special NFL edition podcasts, we'll get back to talking about the beloved Chicago Cubbies, the Chicago White Sox, any moves the Blackhawks and Bulls make, and the Chicago Bears. You can give us a like on Facebook, facebook.com/Second City Sports Chat, or on Twitter, which we really appreciate. Follow us at Second City SC. For Pete Argus and Dan the Freakster, I'm Ryan Ebner. Thank you for listening. Keep watching.